It's extremely difficult to make content at scale without this process, but it's taken me over 8 years to get it right. So let me take you back to last May when we just exited our business. So we sold our company Realbase for 180 mil, and I was looking for something to do on the side. And guess what? I started making some YouTube content. I wanted to give back to the community. There was a night on the couch when I was editing a video next to my family while they were trying to watch a show, and we were meant to be spending family time together. But unfortunately, I couldn't join in because my editor had missed a deadline and I had to edit the video to make sure that it got out the next day. If you know me, I set myself goals and I don't like to miss them, so I had to get it done. So instead of spending family time over there, I was editing a video on a screen next to everyone, which is not ideal, especially if you know and have been in that situation before. And I was spending all that time to get, 6 views, as you do when you just start out the YouTube game. Not ideal, but it is what it is. You got to put in the work. So I was forgetting to publish my content as well. And apart from just having to edit videos late at night, I was also forgetting to publish my content to all the different platforms, right? So we had X and we had LinkedIn that we needed to do. And I also had my blog, right? So I had these places where I needed to publish my content to, and I was forgetting some of those sometimes. So realistically, there was also obviously YouTube as well. So this one was getting done, but then sometimes I would forget these ones, which isn't ideal because I was trying to get awareness and, repurpose the content wherever I could. And my editor would forget to create shorts. So I usually had to say 2 to 3 shorts needed to be edited. He would forget those, which isn't ideal. And I had to constantly remind. What? It's constant reminders. It was very, very frustrating. I think it's one of my pet peeves is having to remind people to do something. Because you feel like it's not ideal because you feel like you're micromanaging. I've been around the block a few times, and unfortunately, if you don't do that a lot of the time, things just don't get done. And for me, it's worse that the thing doesn't get done than me nagging, and I hate nagging. But unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. So I was constantly having to do that, and it's just annoying, to be honest. You know it. I know it. It sucks. And there was no clarity. We didn't have clarity on what was important. So if I had a video that I changed the date of, said it needs to move to the 24th, no one knew that, right? I'd have to communicate in Slack or via email or something. And it was just not ideal. So I knew that there had to be a solution because that's the kind of guy that I am. I like to find solutions to problems. And this is what I was thinking all through the process. How do we stop wasting time? Because, you can't buy time, unfortunately, which is interesting. I need some sort of workflows so that we can follow things, make sure we're doing the same thing over and over again. I needed to figure out the process. what is the process? You can't actually do anything without knowing what the process is. So we can't systemize that. So from figuring out the process, I had to break it down into what we were doing. So, the first thing was I needed to record the video. That was the first thing. I had to hit record. Then I had to upload it. I had to upload the raw file. So this is kind of just me working through what we needed to do. I'm going to turn these into little checkboxes because it feels more fun. And then from there, we needed to go upload. Then we needed to add the Dropbox link. This was something that I forgot a couple of times if you've been there. And then from there, we had to get the editor. Does magic, all good. And then from there, I would also have to write description, which is very important. I'd have to do the thumb, right? And then finally, we had to publish, right, to all the different channels. So once I kind of figured out that, I imagine that's the same for most people. There were some questions that I wanted to ask, and also I needed to make sure it was repeatable, right? I wanted to make sure that I could do this thing over and over and over again, right? That's really important because we want to make sure we do everything every time. So the questions that I needed to ask myself was question 1. Was how do we do this consistently? That's number 1. So it's we need to do this every single week, the same thing over and over again. How do we deal with dates, such deadlines? Number 3 was what happens when dates change? I guess we can call that goalposts. Because these things happen, right? There's a new video that comes out super time sensitive and you need to get it out. How do you do that? And then realistically for me, I was can the current tools do this? So once I identified what I was looking for, I then needed to see if the current tools could actually do that. So just before I move on, I would also like to ask you, what other steps in your workflow do you have when creating content at scale? I think it's super important. Drop it down in the comment section so that I can see them and see what I'm missing and maybe add it to my process moving forward. So number 2 is the solution. There has to be a better way of doing this. I think this is my motto in life. There's always needs to be a better way of doing so many things that we struggle with. But what do we needed to do? So I realized that what we're really looking at, you could probably even see it from my little drawing here, is that task lists were the easiest things to implement to create clarity. But when thinking about it as well, I really realized that there were a lot of other problems that needed to be solved at scale, right? Because task lists are simple. You can do it in Apple Notes and everything. But when you start doing volume, you need these things like repeating task lists, all this kind of stuff. It gets a bit more complicated. Like I said, this is actually the 5th time that I've built task lists in a system. And I built it in our previous businesses, right? That we exited in 2022. It was a very big business, and tasks and processes like this saved us a lot of time, which equals lots of money. So over the years, we kept iterating and improving the tools and the tasks and the workflows to get faster and faster over time. And I knew this would be a solid use case for it in content. And it actually surprised me that this was even more important than our media review tool that we built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we actually ended up building. So inside of ClipFlow, this is what we're looking at. So I'm going to jump into a project. So in ClipFlow, we have a project task. So this is what we ended up building inside of ClipFlow to solve this problem, right? So you can see here, it's a task list. It's grouped by sections. So basically stages of your content production. So we have in ClipFlow now writing, the packaging part, which is all the thumbs and the titles, and then recording. So we have A-roll, B-roll, shooting any thumbnail assets. Then it moves over to editors, which is editing. You can see everything has deadlines. And the cool thing about this is also we have a whole bunch of built-in functionality that makes things even easier. And then here you can see all our publishing stuff, right? So sharing with our Slack, uploading to YouTube, writing video descriptions, etc. So this is one different task list. And the nice thing about how we've done this is that you can use different task lists for different types of projects. All right. So how do we create content using a consistent workflow every time? Well, we've solved that with task list templates. So you can now assign, so in a project that doesn't have one, you can assign a task list using a template. So let's have a look at one that has not done it yet. So let's have a look at this project that we're recording right now. If we hit assign template, you can click here and you can grab one. So let's say we're looking at a long form. We hit save and now we've got all our things. You can see instantly it auto assigned Zach, who's our head of content, to go and do the writing. And then if we had an editor assigned to this project, which we haven't got yet, we can just assign them here, right? So we can assign the editors and then we can work through and do the stuff. So record A-roll, that obviously belongs to Ken. So Ken's busy recording A-roll. And that's how we do it consistently. We make one template and we use it over and over again. And the cool thing about this is as well, is if you have a due date set, it will pull the dates in here and you can calculate them before or after the deadline. And then if you change the scheduled date, it moves all the tasks around as well, which is super cool. And then what we can do here is inside of our tasks section, you can see here all the tasks for me. And then I can jump into an editor and look at what they're working on. So I can actually keep them working on the right things. So you can see these two tasks are due on the 19th, and then this one's due on the 29th. So they can see the order of priority. And then as dates change, due dates change on this project, like I said, it will change that all. So this is how we've solved it in ClipFlow, which is something that we're really proud of. And it's actually one of the things that most people find the most useful, funnily enough, which I thought would definitely be the media reviewer, but turns out it's this. You can see here by building this kind of solution, we've ended up in a really good place. And that just means that we can scale very easily. And you can see you can just jump into a task here and then leave an SOP or create subtasks, just like any other project management system. But the nice thing is it's built around your content project. So you got everything you need in the one place. Super key, super pumped about that. So yeah. Now, after building all of this, we see that things can actually work. So let's jump in here. After building it and actually seeing it in practice, what does it look like? So the nice thing is that we have task lists for everything, right? You saw you can jump in, you can add task lists for long, you can add it for shorts, you can do whatever you need to do. And the nice thing here is I've gone from 1 times me plus 1 times editor to still 1 times me. Interesting. We probably need to improve on that, or probably not. Probably wouldn't be good for anyone. And then now we have 5 times content team, right? Just supporting all the content that we record constantly. And that is, it comprises of 3 editors, and we have 1 head of content, and we have one social manager, which is actually Daryl, our co-founder at the moment, learning the ropes so that we can systemize this piece next, which will be another video coming soon. But we've gone from that where I was literally drowning doing just this, and this was only equaling one video a week, and it was creating so much stress, to now I'm doing just personally 6 longs plus 30 shorts or more. And this is only being because we can now delegate tasks, right? We can systemize the whole thing. We can delegate. We can make sure things actually happen. And it's amazing. So what we're doing is we are going 100% all in on content. And we couldn't do it without a setup like this. It's just not possible. And because it's about marketing, right? We're trying to grow a business. And we know that content in this day and age is so important. So yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what we've built. If you find ClipFlow interesting, check it out down below. Otherwise, please let us know how you are systemizing your content. How do you do that? How do you systemize your process? There's always things to learn. We'd love to hear what other things you think about when you're doing that. But until next time, catch you on the next one.